All right, guys, the Unit 9 talk. So Unit 9 is one of the best units in the state. You can see just by looking at the boundaries when I pull up the map why that is. It's kind of like when we talked about Unit 1 and Unit 3 and then Unit 27, which I haven't talked about yet, but the bordering boundary, the northern boundary of Unit 9 is the Grand Canyon National Park. So anybody that knows how that works is you cannot hunt in a national park, but the elk habitat in Grand Canyon National Park that borders Unit 9 is phenomenal, and it allows the age class of giant bulls to be exponentially greater because they can't be hunted. So if you guys have hunted out west before and you understand Wyoming hunting and some of the bordering units that some of the units that border the Yellowstone National Park, where all the biggest bulls in Wyoming are killed, it's the same idea. So it's the timing. In Yellowstone National Park, it's a little different. You hunt those bulls late, and when the winter comes and they come out of the park to kind of get into some lower country. In Unit 9, it's the opposite. So these big giant bulls that winter in the Grand Canyon National Park and some of those nasty cliffy areas, they come out of the park, get up on the plateau, and start breeding with the cows, because all the cows in Unit 9 typically are up on the flats, up in the meadows, up above the Grand Canyon. Cows typically prefer a little milder country. So when you have these giant bulls come roaming up out of the Jurassic Park of the Grand Canyon National Park area, because it grows some freaks, you just have a phenomenal opportunity to shoot something very special. So with that, it still takes a lot of effort to really nail down one of these 380 plus bulls. There's a few guides that have been doing it for a while in there, then they're really successful at it, and really understand how the movement works from the Grand Canyon National Park into northern Unit 9, and also in different places in Unit 9. Some of these bulls, they'll come out of the park and they're not just going to be on the Unit 9 border, guys. They could go 30 miles, 40 miles deep into Unit 9 where they have habitually rutted groups of cows, and that's where they are. So it's not necessarily the border like it is in some areas. These elk have been doing this for a long time, and they don't get any pressure in Grand Canyon National Park. So, which is a little different than the White Mountain Apache reservation, because they do get pressure, and they get pressure to stay in White Mountain Apache reservation. They also get fed to stay in there. So there's other incentives to stay in there. Well, the Grand Canyon National Park is just a delineation point where it's just where there's just a ton of big bull habitat, and they're allowed to come free roam and breed these cows. So with that being said, the trophy opportunity is some of the highest trophy opportunity in the state. Several governor's tag type bulls have been shot around Unit 9, if not in Unit 9, but bordering units. So it's got that trophy potential, that reputation for the opportunity to shoot something that's truly once in a lifetime bull elk, and the draw odds do reflect that. So we're going to look at the map and just kind of go over some stuff, but you can kind of see the difference in the terrain. The hardest part about Unit 9, I would say, is the terrain, and not from a physical standpoint, but from a lack of visibility standpoint. Unit 9 is a lot of just flats, juniper flats. There's some canyons that go off to the west side, bordering Unit 10, and there's some canyons, in and out, and in some places, that run into kind of 7 West and things like that. There's some good hill country, there's a few little ranges in Unit 9, but for the most part, it's really flat, and it's a lot of junipers, and junipers really are they're like a maze. I mean, animals just disappear into them. You don't have a lot of visibility between junipers a lot of times, so even if you are in an animal's wheelhouse, you may not even see him until it's too late. So that comes into play when you're calling these big bulls and not seeing what the heck he really is, and with cameras being taken off the table, which I will say there has been a lot of publicity about cameras in the Arizona Strip for mule deer and the Kaibab, and also Unit 9. So Unit 9 is a big camera place for elk specifically that I know there's been some contention, and I know it played a part in making the camera law into effect in Arizona. So without cameras, understanding where these bulls are watering or what caliber, it makes focusing on a trophy bull a lot harder, as opposed to certain areas where you can get up in glass, big country, you can kind of find and locate these bulls with your eyes and understand what you're going after. Unit 9 is one of those where you may have to see 20 or 30 bulls before it's that one that you want to kill. And that being said, you've most likely waited 20 years to draw this tag, because as a non-resident to draw the early archery tag, you're looking at like 25 points. To draw a late rifle tag, it doesn't take as much. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you're looking, even as a resident, you're looking at 20 plus points to draw any tag really that has to do with early season hunting in Unit 9. And Unit 9 does offer an early hunt. It's an early muzzleloader hunt. And they do offer that right now during the post archery season. They have done it before the archery season started. That kind of raised some questions, and not too many people were happy with that. I don't really understand why you would do that, but anyway, the early muzzleloader is during the prime time, like late September, right as the archery season ends, muzzleloader season opens. So Unit 9 is a very favorable place to hunt with a muzzleloader, even like an old school muzzleloader, because there's not too many places we're going to shoot over 300 yards in Unit 9. So, just different opportunities, but to hunt the trophy areas in the trophy time frame, it's going to take you 20 points, which leads me into my next kind of discussion is, if you've got 20 points riding on this hunt, I would definitely talk to a guide, do your homework, talk to an outfitter, or talk to some friends. Obviously, budget is a huge thing. Not everybody can afford a guided hunt, but I will tell you that there are awesome opportunities if you do not have the money to do a fully guided, fully outfitted hunt. There are scouting packages available. We offer those as well, and some outfitted situations where equipment and scouting is offered too. This is just to say, if you have the time and money, invest into it, because you may never draw this tag again. I haven't drawn this tag. I'm still waiting. I only have, I think 11 points going into this hunt, and it just kind of varies from year to year what I personally apply for. If I'm going to be around and my schedule with Alaska lines up, I apply for Unit 9. If I'm not going to be around that early season, because moose season happens in September, and a lot of times I'm in Alaska hunting moose, then I opt for different late rifle type situations. So that being said, honestly, it's an investment. You only have one chance at this a lot of times, so really make it worth it. And it's not just that a guide is going to guarantee you a hunt, guarantee you a bull or anything like that, but it's just really putting your best foot forward if you have that in your budget. If not, if you don't have anything in your budget to do anything like that, then you need to get out there and do your homework on your own. You need to do some homework online. Obviously, I'm going to be going over maps right now, and just highlighting certain areas on the map that are great positions, great places to be in Unit 9. But it really takes, current information. You can't rely on some forum talk that happened 4 years ago about some spot somebody killed a bull, because he's not going to be there. Number one, anybody that kills a big bull, that bull is dead. He is not going to be in the same spot anymore, and most likely there is not going to be a bull just like him in that exact same spot the next year. It's a little different for coos deer, but that's a whole different topic. So just do your homework both online and e-scouting, but also you need to get in there and scout for yourself. You need to get in there in August if you draw the early archery tag. You need to go check in those water holes. You need to understand what it's going to take. There's a lot of pressure for these big bulls. Specifically, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be sitting water, going to be very successful sitting water. There's going to be a lot of people calling elk. There's going to be people that have nothing to do with the tag out there calling elk. And I just want to warn everybody, that is a real thing. People that don't draw tags at all, they'll drive up in there and they'll just call elk, film elk, screw up hunters. I mean, it's legal. There's nothing wrong with it, but it can drive you nuts. There are guys who just go up there every single year just to see the elk. And you may be a guy with a bow tag that it took you 22 years to draw, and you got some guy that just drove up and he's got no skin in the game, just calling at the same bulls. And so be ready for that. And don't be afraid to communicate with people. Hey, I got an archery tag. What are you doing? If you run into some guy and you don't see a bow in his hand, or you don't see any kind of situation where it indicates that he's actually hunting, don't be afraid to address him and say, hey, what are you doing? I have an elk tag. If you mind giving me a little space, could you go do some recreational calling elsewhere? It's really taken into your own account. Don't be rude, of course, but I do think that hunters waiting all this time do have priority over people that are just going up there, like I said, with no skin in the game, just calling elk and doing stuff like that. I mean, I think it's great that guys do that, but if you're an archery hunter, communicate with people, make sure that everyone's on the same page, and nobody screws you up on purpose, or nobody screws you up by accident. So, but transitioning real quick, that's the early archery game. I hope that I kind of gave you some information that you don't hear a ton, and not obvious information, and just kind of stuff that I really want you guys to know that you can't find online a whole lot, because that's my purpose here, is to educate you about certain areas and what to expect from a hunting standpoint. And early archery hunting, I would expect you to be scouting water, sitting water, and calling bulls if they are bugling and cooperating. And I think the biggest bulls, without a doubt, are killed over water in Unit 9 every single year. So that has to be something that's in your head when you draw this tag. Be ready to sit water. Be ready to pass up on 330 bulls. Be ready, be ready, be ready. And be ready to sit water all day, because there is competition over water. The legal Arizona water rights, you got to be the first one at the water hole to maintain that water, and everybody else has to leave due to ethics and fair play and that kind of thing. So one thing that people don't really understand about Unit 9, I get asked about this quite a bit as well, is late rifle tag. So it doesn't really take that many points to draw a late rifle tag in Unit 9. It takes 7-8 points as a resident or non-resident. The reason being is how I started this video is that Grand Canyon National Park boundary. Well, after the rut happens, a lot of those giant, educated, mature bulls go right back into national park. They leave the cows. They go, my work here is done. I'm going back to my home where I live in November, or mid-October to mid-November. They're transitioning out and going back down into the park where they will not get hunted. They won't get pressured, and they will live their bull elk life in some nasty canyon until March and April come around, and they start looking for food and doing that kind of stuff. And then obviously in August, in the monsoons, they get ready to rut. That late rifle tag, it's kind of like whatever bulls left up on the plateau, whatever bulls are left in Unit 9 that are more resident bulls, which typically just across the board, they are smaller. So the resident bulls, just because they live there year round, they are going to be smaller. They've been shot at, they've been educated. Their chances of being shot are higher if they live in Unit 9 year round. So the age class is just a little, one tier below what it is or a couple tiers really below what it is in the early archery hunt. That doesn't mean there isn't giant bulls living there year round, but it does mean you have to scout and you have to know where they are. And it is very difficult to do so because of the terrain. So understand that you may be on foot and maybe hunting water, stalking around like a bow hunter during late rifle season. And you're not going to be shooting 800 yards. You're not going to be glassing big giant country. You're going to have to put in the work on foot, and there's some stuff to glass, but you got to be flexible and hunt 3-dimensionally, and don't be afraid to sit water on these late rifle hunts where it's cold, could be snow on the ground. But that's just habits of these bulls, and understanding what resident bulls are and when they live, where they go, what their patterns are, versus polar opposite early season transient national park bulls. So that's the gist of Unit 9, guys. That's why the hype is around it. Rightfully so. That's why it takes 20 points to draw those early tags. And that's why you can shoot a 400 plus inch bull there. If the season's right, if the precipitation is right, the feed's right, and you get a bull to come in your way. Also, that always has to happen. You always got to get a bull to kind of work with you with a tag in your pocket. And those two things don't always add up. You know, you be with a buddy, it works out perfectly one day, and then when you draw your tag, the bulls are nowhere to be found and you can't find one. But that's okay. That's what happens. That's what hunting is all about. So if you're trying to draw a Unit 9 tag, good luck. I wish you the best of luck. And again, if you do draw it, definitely take a hard look at the draw odds, take a hard look at your hunting career, and really consider hiring a guide or outfitter, or doing a scouting package or a drop camp or something to really up your advantage and put yourself in the right position to be successful. So, all right, guys, I'm coming at you with some more videos later on. I'm going to talk about Unit 10 next. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.